Did you hear about the TARP? The Troubled Asset Relief Program is a big success and proves that the central planners of the Uncle Sam and of the Federal Reserve are financial geniuses. The TARP stopped a banking crisis, and the money was paid back with 8% interest in just 2 years.
This is too good to be true. The suckers who pay the tax get their money back to spend as they wish?
Not exactly. The Uncle Sam spent it.
What caused a banking crisis?
The jackass banks lost the tons of money.
How much tons of money?
Nobody seems to know exactly. About $3 trillion.
That much money should be easy to find. Did they look under the couch cushions? There is often money there.
It was not there.
Has anyone actually ever seen this tons of money?
No.
Where did the jackass banks get this tons of money?
From the people who borrowed it from the jackass banks.
Then this is the work of loans and the fractional reserve banking multiplier, where the phantom money is created from the phantom money. The more loans, the more phantom money. This is not real money until the borrowers do some bleeping work. Why would the people promise so much tons of work?
To buy houses. And starting in 2001, the jackass Greenspan dropped interest rates really low to stimulate the economy with debt. And the jackass Congress said the junky loans were the right thing to do.
Even if the interest was zero, the borrowers still promised a bootload of work.
I think some borrowers thought the houses would earn the money for them.
What happened next?
The jackass banks used the mathematics that nobody understands and the medieval alchemy and neat-sounding names to turn the junky loans into high-grade securities to sell to unsuspecting suckers.
So the people who sold the houses received real money from the jackass banks. The jackass banks received real money from the unsuspecting suckers. And the unsuspecting suckers were owed real money by the borrowers who expected the houses to earn the money.
Yes.
What happened next?
The borrowers discovered that the houses did not earn the money. So they defaulted and returned the houses. And the unsuspecting suckers took the hit.
In the dot-com bubble scam, the big banks made out like bandits, selling crap to the unsuspecting suckers. The suckers took a hit for $10 trillion, and system did not collapse. And nobody gives a crap about unsuspecting suckers. So what was the problem?
This time the jackass banks fooled themselves and were among the unsuspecting suckers.
So the defaults caused the fractional reserve multiplier to work in reverse. The jackass banks' phantom money disappeared. And they have only the houses, which cannot be multiplied, like phantom money.
Yes.
Then the jackass banks must sell the houses for what they can get, or find some unsuspecting suckers to buy them at bubble prices. As for the phantom money from the fractional reserve multiplier, there are two choices. Admit that this phantom money never existed, or replace it with the money from thin air. Neither the phantom money nor the money from thin air represent work and production.
But admitting that the phantom money never existed would ruin the jackass banks.
The alternative is to ruin the dollar and run the country on money from thin air instead of work and production. What happened next?
The Uncle Sam took $700 billion from the unsuspecting suckers who paid the tax, called it the TARP, and gave $309 billion to the jackass banks to lend to the businesses that need the money to relieve the recession.
What happened to the other $391 billion?
The Uncle Sam spent it.
Did the recession improve?
Not really. And the jackass banks did not want to risk lending to the businesses that need the money. So there was not so much lending. And they loaned some of the money back to the Uncle Sam, who spent it.
Then the Uncle Sam might as well have skipped the loans and just given the jackass banks money.
That would seem to produce the same result.
So $309 billion replaced the lost $3 trillion? The jackass banks could not live without the $309 billion, but 2 years later, in a bad economy, while not lending much money, they suddenly have $334 billion they do not need to pay to the Uncle Sam. Does this make sense? Are you leaving something out?
Well, there was that Federal Reserve thing.
And what was that?
In 2009, the Ben Bernanke bought the houses that nobody wants from the jackass banks for $1,700 billion.
The mystery is over. When the jackass banks got the 1,700 billion, they simply returned the 309 billion and paid the interest out of the 1,700 billion. They could have done it in 2009 and saved 1 year's interest. Please loan me $3. Then buy my $11 jeans that nobody wants for $17. I will give you back $3. I will have $17, and you will be a bleeping financial genius, like the Uncle Sam.
I do not think I want to do that.
And the Ben Bernanke could have bought their houses this way in 2008. The TARP was not necessary. The suckers who pay the tax could have spent their money themselves on what they want. Instead, the Uncle Sam spent it.
But in 2008, the central planners did not know that. There was no time. It was an emergency.
Bullshit. The emergency started in 2001, when the jackass Greenspan dropped the interest rates during an expanding housing bubble, which was already larger than the big housing bubbles of the 1970s and 80s.
But the jackass Greenspan was following the rental price instead of the selling price and did not see the bubble, so there was a few years delay.
But even a cartoon bear could see the emergency in 2006, when the bubble was 5 times as large as the previous bubbles, and burst, and the default started to reverse the fractional reserve multiplier, and the phantom money started to disappear, and the jackass Greenspan was canned. This was not an emergency to be solved in 1 week in 2008.
Are we cartoon bears or cartoon dogs?
Who cares? Where did the Ben Bernanke get the 1,700 billion bucks?
From the big bright green money machine. From the thin air.
So the Ben Bernanke decided to trash the dollar with inflation. In 2008 the monetary base was 800 billion. Now it is 2,200 billion, with the same purchasing power as the 800 billion. If that money circulates, the life savings will be worth the crap.
I think I just pooped my pants. But the Ben Bernanke says he has an exit strategy.
Where to? A country with no extradition? He cannot take the money back, or he is back where he started. But the TARP law says he can keep the money from circulating by having the suckers who pay the tax pay the jackass banks more money to not lend the money than to lend the money. And in 2009, the bubble was still huge, with houses 50% overvalued. Did the Ben Bernanke pay the bubble prices?
Yes.
Smooth move, Ben. And what happened to the houses that nobody wants?
The Fannie Mae and the Freddie Mac have them now.
Why don't you just shoot me? The Fannie Mae and the Freddie Mac are busted on their asses and sucking money like the black holes. The suckers who pay the tax now own the houses that nobody wants. And all we need to break even is about 7 million unsuspecting suckers to buy the houses at bubble prices, which they cannot afford, or we will take the hit.
I just pooped my pants again.
This is incompetence and deception. The central planners of the Federal Reserve and of the Uncle Sam created a problem and mismanaged it. They covered their asses with bailouts, which are now expected. The dollar is being trashed. The TARP was not necessary. A monkey with diarrhea could shit something better than this. A monkey with the money machine could be a bleeping financial genius. This is the success of the TARP and central planning? Did you eat a funny mushroom and drink the Kool-Aid?
I like the Kool-Aid. And the jackass central planners will take care of me with a big bright green money machine and other people's money.